customized writing support. Okay. My name is Karen Aney, and I am your chair for this session. I'm also going to be the first presenter. So right now I'm wearing my presenting hat, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, share screen, and I'll go right into my session. Okay, so thank you for coming to my session. My name is Karen Aney, and I am presenting Orchestrating the Collaborative Writing Process. I teach in Rupin Academic Center. And before I start, I'd like to say that although this session is called Writing Centers, my session is not really a writing center. It's more action research. I'm going to share processes that I go through with my students. But I was placed in this session, so think out of the box, okay? So as we go, I'd like to tell you about my teaching and where I work. So I teach in Rupin Academic Center. Rupin has 2 campuses. I teach on both campuses, and I teach in all the faculties. There are 18 undergraduate programs, MBA programs, and there are 5,000 students, more or less, in Rupin, and I teach in the Michmoret campus of Rupin Academic Center. I teach students who are going for their exit level of English. It's like the Mitkadmim Bet. So from my course, they should receive a ptol. Now, I'd like to emphasize that I'm not a science teacher, and I am an EAP teacher. I teach English for academic purposes, but my students and I have a symbiotic relationship, as they say in the marine sciences. I teach them the English that they need to function in an academic course setting, and they teach me the content. I often learn as much from them as they learn from me, if not more. So although my students did not, as of yet, as far as I know, get the coronavirus, thank God, they're fine. They do have something that I call the yellow text syndrome. The yellow text syndrome is also an illness of its own. We don't need to be in Bidud, and we don't need any of those other ways of controlling it. However, we do need intervention, okay? And the intervention that I need to work with my students is making them aware of the fact that when they highlight everything, nothing is important because they've highlighted everything. So my first step with them is raising awareness about the parts of the research article. And I do this by breaking down the anatomy of a research article together with them and showing them the structure that is a generic structure, more or less, for scientific research articles, empirical research articles. And I teach them that they should look for the real world problem, the purpose for the research, the hypothesis, methods, results, discussion, implications, limitations, and so on. Now, this can all be found in the abstract. Of course, in the empirical research article anatomy, you also have the section of the introductions, which includes the previous literature, etc. So we look at the whole empirical research article structure, and then we zoom in on the abstract. And I do this by combining different technologies with the teaching, and that's why I called it Orchestrating the Collaborative Writing Process, because when there's a harmony between the different parts, I find that it's much more effective, and I'm enthusiastic and excited, and they are as well. So this activity that I'm going to show you was first done in class in a face-to-face setting, and students received Google Slides. It was one Google Slide presentation, and each slide had a section for them to analyze one abstract. I first gave them the color key that you saw on the previous slide and a sample abstract that had been color coded in advance, so they understood what I was looking for. In order to color code the abstract, they needed to look at it from the point of view of language, to be able to understand that when an author presents their results, they're going to be speaking in the past tense. They're going to be speaking about the methods. There's going to be statistic results. There'll be statistics, and information that is data related. Methods is going to be a procedure. So they're also able to look for the purpose based on the wording in the study, we report, and so on. So in the class setting, my students worked on their computers. On their one Google slide, I had 24 students. So these pairs, sometimes there were threes, sometimes there were pairs, and they worked on one slide. I had a collection of 12 slides, one abstract per slide. And here you can see that there's two students, each working on their own computer. However, they're highlighting the same abstract. The student on the phone is also working with them, and he's using the key, the color key, and discussing it with them as they work. Now, I did the same thing with them in the online course, and they could see the work on the Google Slides together with me. And here you see in the Zoom class, the students are in a Zoom breakout room with me. They're doing the exact same thing that we did in the face-to-face class. They are highlighting their slides. You see the slide in the middle. You see my comments on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, you see each of the slides that the other students are working on in real time in their breakout rooms. This lesson started as an open lesson like I'm doing now, explaining what the procedure will be. And then I clicked on breakout rooms, and each breakout room received their own abstract. Okay, and they numbered them based on breakout 1, 2, 3, so they knew exactly where to go. At the end of the activity, whether it was face-to-face or on Zoom, I had the same product. I had 12 abstracts that had been color-coded and that could be analyzed at a glance. Because we had the information in front of us, we could see that some of the abstracts at a glance from a distance without reading it, we could see that some of them were very organized. So they had a section. Look, if you look at the last slide, you have the section with the introduction, you have the blue, which was the methods, and then the green, which was the results. Other slides included different information, and sometimes it jumped, so because the author interspersed information and went from methods, results, discussion, back to methods. So this is something that's very important for students to be aware of when they get to the writing process. Another way that I encourage students to be ready to write, because I thoroughly believe that they need to have an emotional investment to be able to write something meaningful, we go on to have a class debate. In marine mammals in captivity was the topic of our debate. And in this case, I used a Padlet, which is an interactive wall where students post materials for a collection of information for anti-captivity. So this group was a class of 24. This group received a wall, one wall to post to, anti-captivity materials. Now they found articles, they found videos, and they had to write very short summary of what they found and why they felt it would be helpful for the actual in-class debate. Now, I did this in semester Aleph. In semester Bet, I had to forego the debate because we were just getting started with Zoom. But if it was in class, this is what it would look like. So the students actually sit in a format that supports the debate, and they share their information to support their argument by citing, quoting, referring to the materials that they had collected. They cannot speak from the top of their head. Following that, I make sure, and during, not necessarily following, throughout the semester, I teach them how to paraphrase, how to quote, how to use reported speech. On Moodle, we have a block that's dedicated to writing skills. So you could call that a writing center. They look at those materials throughout, but I also test them during the session, and I ask them to use these materials and to do Moodle quizzes where they get their feedback immediately from the system. Now, I have created this to express my vision of the harmony that is involved when you have students and teachers and pedagogy and technology. And if I were to ask you, how would you label these rocks? Would you have a different vision? Thank you. I'm done. Just a second. Stop sharing. Just a second. I need to put this on again. Thank you. Okay. Just a second. I can't hear anybody, so just a second. I'll deal with questions at the end if you have any. And now I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Eliezer Yariv, who is from the Gordon Academic College of Education, Haifa, Israel, and he will be presenting with Dr. Adas Shelley Uber. And the presentation is called Training New Staff Members to Guide Students in Writing Dissertations. Thank you, Eliezer. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you, Karen. It's a pleasure to be here. And I didn't have to pay any fine for parking lot, so it's a good time. 2 years ago, my colleague, Dr. Hadas Huber, and myself edited one of the volumes of the journal Rav Dvanim, our journal, and it was devoted to pedagogy in higher education. And one of the paper we wrote, or the paper we wrote, was devoted to the problem that lecturers in academic institutions do not get any preparation how to become good presenters. So for that sake, both of us would like to devote our presentation about teaching how to teach and how to mentor academic writing. So let me present my, do you see now the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sure that all of us know that what is the thesis writing and seminar writing and what its importance for the students. And we know that it increases student engagement and improve their academic learning. And yes, it socializes them to become, hopefully, in an academic career. And the mission of tutoring entails mastering complex pedagogical and interpersonal skills, like training students to work efficiently, helping them to overcome times of despair, and following guidelines of correct writing. So what I would like to devote is that there is a problem, and the problem is that academic institutions tend to invest their resources in research and not so much in teaching. And since scientific research becomes increasingly expensive, universities decrease their allocations on teaching, and they tend to hire part-time instructors, and they budget mainly for research outputs rather than improve their lecturer skills. So this is the real problem, because the students who come to study would like to see and would like to be interested in what they are studying, but that is not the case. Many of the classes and courses are quite boring. So the current situation is that in many professions, senior faculties like doctors and pilots and nurses, they get a formal preparation how to mentor the novices. That is not the case in many of the academic institutions in Israel. Our research question was, do faculty in Israel academic institutions get didactic preparations? For that sake, the method was a short online survey with 32 out of 64 heads of training centers in Israeli higher education. What were the findings? First, we found that such programs are rarely available. Less than 1/3 of the centers in universities and colleges offer such a course that prepare their novice lecturers. We also found that all these programs are optional. relatively short, one semester or even less, and do not include the practicum. So how can you teach someone to do any skill without really getting an experience? What were the reasons mentioned by the heads of these centers? Lack of resources, poor interest, low priority, and the like. So what we propose in that paper that we wrote, we propose that every novice lecturer would receive a 2 years mandatory methodical training, and by the end they will receive a certificate that will enable them to get promotion from, in their institution. And we also know that such of these courses, that what we found in other countries, could be to graduates and even to veteran lecturers. These are the main ideas that we prepared. And I will mainly devote to the teaching how to become mentors. For that sake, we use 4 units based on Schulman's conceptualization, in which the novice lecturers will have knowledge of the learners, will have general pedagogical knowledge, and pedagogical knowledge tailored to teaching specific discipline. More specifically, we suggest a curriculum for the novice lecturers that will include these subjects. First, didactics, how to plan a project and how to mentor a student to plan a project, how to help the students set stage and routines and encourage creativity. So didactics is essential. Second, we believe that every mentor should have a thorough preparation for interpersonal issues like accessibility. I'll give you an example. Many students complain that their mentor is not that available. It's difficult to get in touch with him or with her, and they don't answer so quickly their requests. So accessibility is essential, but also emotional support. We know that doctorate and the thesis seminar are so difficult, so everyone needs support, so the students. Also, what about informal relations? Many students feel that their mentor is somewhere high above and they are not have good connections. So we think that anyone who becomes a mentor should know that they must have a more equal relations with their students. What about issues like control versus autonomy? We know that sometimes young students need more guidance, but as they become more proficient, they should get more autonomy. What about avoidance of shaming? Many students complain that the remarks they receive, in red letters are so insulting. So what about stopping insulting our students? We need, as mentors,
2
to
minutes.
learn.
2
Yes,
minutes.
thank you, thank you. We need to know how to give good feedback. And also, what about assessment? So the clarity of explanation that we give is essential. And so we need to give explanation about progress of student satisfaction. Finally, we think that we also need to teach our mentors, new mentors, how to develop good writing, how to mentor forming arguments. It's a very essential issue. Correctness of formal expression. I think that mentors need to take in account practicalities issues like considerations and method, how to ease collecting and data processing and the like. Practicum, we need to have a simulation in PD, in Professional Development Center, and peer supervision. So what we would like to see is that every new staff members in academic institution should get a thorough preparation how to work with students about their dissertation, about the seminar, and believe that that will improve the qualities, the satisfaction, and the outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eliezer. Okay, are there any questions for Professor Eliezer and Dr. Adal Shirley Uber? Okay, so we're moving right along to our third presentation, which is from, and I've been practicing all week, so I hope that I'm still okay. Maria Teresa Mateo Girona and Juan Antonio Nunez Cortez. And they are presenting the impact of the Writing Center tutorials on Faculty of Teacher Training. And they are from the Complutense University of Madrid, Madrid, Spain, and the Autónoma University of Madrid, Madrid, Spain. Thank you very much. Please put your presentation in present mode because you're on the regular mode when you're working, and you may begin. We can't hear you.
Unmute.
Unmute. Teresa, you have to unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, Karen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Teresa Mateo, and the presentation that I'm going to share with you has been made in collaboration with Juan Antonio Núñez Cortés, head of the Academic Writing Center of the Autonomous University of Madrid, Spain. I would like to thank you all for attending this presentation. The title, as Karen said, is the impact of Writing Center tutorials on Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. I'm going to divide this talk into 3 parts. First of all, I will introduce the Writing Center of the UAM Faculty of Teacher Training. Then I will go on to talk about the main actions carried out in the Writing Center. Finally, I will present the main motivations of UAM Faculty of Teacher Training students during the 2018 and 2019 academic year, why attended the Writing Center writing tutorials and their satisfaction level. Let me start with a question. How many Spanish universities have academic writing centers? Of 76, 50 public and 26 private. Only 8 universities here in Spain have writing centers, 6 publics and 2 private. So is it not important? We consider yes. Why is it important to teach academic writing at our universities? Sorry, there is a deficit in the first year students' communicative competencies. Since the introduction of the European system, writing has been in greater demand. Students are asked to write in seminars, final degree projects, master projects, etc. So actually, not only is a demand of students, also it's a recognized need for teachers, professionals, and employers. According to Carlino, teaching to write in the university context is a process that may or may not be put in place to favor the access of students to the different writing cultures of the disciplines. It is the bold attempt to include them in their legal practices, the actions that teachers have to carry out with institutional support so that university students learn how to write. What is the real need of the Autonomous University of Madrid? We consider a need to offer academic writing training in the UAM's teachers training based on degrees because In 2014, we applied a questionnaire in the second academic semester to a population of 300 students of the infant and primary teachers degree, and obtaining the following answers to these two questions. In which types of academic tests do you need to receive training? What are the specific writing difficulties to receive training? Take a look at this table. Here we can see quite clearly that the training demanded by university students was especially for research projects, 76%, and review an article, 82%. Now, you will see in this paragraph that the most demanded by students are criteria for the revision text with 82. Then resources to argue with 78, and how to cite authors with 70. After these results, we high demands on the training needs. Okay, oh, it's not working. Yeah. The answer is, for this necessity, the creation of the Academic Writing Center in the Autonomous Public University of Madrid. The next subject I would like to focus on is the main actions carried out in this writing center since that year, 2014. The image shows our homepage of our website. Let's move on resources. Our repository is completed with digital resources for consultation and autonomous learning related to discursive academic genres, types of text, the writing process, and presentation and publication-oriented style sheets. Here in the writing process, we will find out some tutorials. Take a look at this image. As you can see, it's a short video that explains that the writing what the writing process consists of. In this section, you will find information about the seminars that we offer at the Writing Center during the academic year, but our best service are tutorials. We would like to share with you the data about the tutorials carried out in the last academic year. There have been 303 tutorials. We would like to, 30 minutes is long, each one. And there were individual and in groups, and the satisfaction survey was carried out via Google Form. Now I will briefly explain how tutoring works. It consists on a dialogue between the tutor and the training writer. First, the written text is read by the writer. During this reading, the tutor is writing her feedback in the text. After the reading, both talk about the aspect that can be improved from the text. The tutor gives an action plan to the students, also material, exercises about the specific aspect if these are required. Students can attend a second tutorial with specific questions. But
Teresa,
yes.
1.5 seconds.
Okay, well, these are not a tutorial. We would not consider this a tutorial. So I'm moving on the last section, motivations and satisfaction level in the UAMS degree. This image shows the complete questionnaire, and were filled by 183 students. These are the questions that we asked them, and I'm gonna move to the results. Okay. This graph shows that 33% attend a first interview, 25% to a second review, and the rest attend between 3 and 8. the main reason that they came to the interview was because they don't have too much confidence in themselves. The most required genre was to final degree projects with a 44%, 34, and a test with 19. Finally, there have been 18% for doctoral thesis reviews. 28% the texts were first drafts. The most required topics have been spelling, APA, grammar, paragraph, exercises of organized paragraphs, diagnosing, and cover page, table of contents.
Teresa, 30
yes.
seconds.
Okay.
APA.
Well, they all were very positive results about the useful of the tutorials. So they all say that they will need more time for tutorials. So these are the results, but the future actions are increase the time between 45 and 60, and more dissemination of the writing center to be better well known for the rest of the students. And that's it. This is our teacher. Okay.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you very much. Well done.
Sorry for
well
my
done. No, your English is great. Well done. I'm very impressed. Very nice. Better than my Spanish accent, for sure. Okay, so we have 2 minutes left, just about, or 3. And there were a couple of questions in the chat that I would like to address. Somebody asked me if I could repeat the platform that I used before I showed you the Padlet. And the platform that I used was Google Slides. I used Google Slides to do the abstract activity in Zoom as well as in class. I created a Google Slides presentation. I gave everybody share access to share and to comment. And when they went into this slide, they were assigned one slide with an abstract that I had already chosen and placed on the slide. Another question was if anyone could recommend a book. Is there a book you would recommend? Anna, you asked that question. Would you like to be more specific? Anna? Anna? Anna asked if there was a book. This is like in class. Anna asked if there's a book that anyone would like to recommend, but I'm not sure what you meant in what context of a book. So unless you would like to be more specific, I don't think we can recommend. Okay. So guys, we did it. We had 26 participants for the duration of this event. I'm very pleased to say that I felt it went very well. I'd like to thank you for participating, for presenting, and for a great day. Thank you.